is usually wear the mask on camera, but I'm going to do this right now. I want to first start with acknowledging something that happened in 2015. It was the summer. I came across this website that I had seen a while before. It had this story. It was discussing this cosmic portal that had opened over the Congo in Africa. It said that for a specific period of time, there was a very determinate portal opened over Africa. And my understanding is that there are those that know that there are semi-permanent, and I say semi-permanent, understanding that we conceive of reality wherein the Earth is several billion years old. And these semi-permanent portals over certain areas of the world. And that occasionally there are portals that have access to different parts of the universe that open up for a even more temporary period of time. And presumably during 2015, but even before 2015, such a portal had opened up over Africa, specifically in the area known as the Congo. And one of the things that was discussed were concerns, or rather notices, that the first appearance of this portal correlated with a visit by the Israeli Prime Minister at the time. At a specific strategic period of time later, then there was a visit by President Barack Obama of the United States. There was the Israeli Prime Minister, if I'm not mistaken, it was Benjamin Netanyahu, who had gone to Africa, around the area where this portal was open. And then a period of time later, the American President, Barack Obama, went to the same area, around the time the portal was closing. This was the recounting that I read at the time. Now, I hadn't been reading this kind of news for a substantial period of time. I had my own observations. And at some point, I encountered these people that called themselves professionals and said they were doctors or therapists or caseworkers, and that these were not actually real pieces of information. There were hallucinations and there were delusions, and that it needed to be addressed in a medical modality that required me to ingest medication and lose access to my own consciousness that would have allowed me to be able to get this information and then analyze it in an appropriate context. But at some point, I changed my mind about participating in that kind of medicine and had different experiences. And so by the summer of 2015, I was reading this information. Late spring, summer of 2017, I was reading this information. And I said to myself, this is very important, that when the portal opened, it was Netanyahu. And upon its closing, it was Obama. I didn't know exactly what it meant, but I understood it was very, very important. Regardless of what you may think of them on Earth, what you may think of them politically, something cosmically had called on them to perform some sort of very important ritual on another level. And that it had been observed in that manner, although people who were reporting on it didn't know the details. Now, for a long time, there has been some speculations. There has been a sort of monopoly in the United States when it comes to access to information regarding our connections with the cosmos, particularly consciousness in the cosmos. You know, our dreams of being astronauts, or working with NASA, maybe, being in space, engaging around technology. These are one level. But I'm talking about the fact that we as human beings have the capacity to engage, even through our own personal neural processes, in entering into and through portals internally that give us access to information and connections, and sometimes even memories, cosmically, including in places that would, on a linear sense of the term, be billions of light years away. There's no way in our mortal lifetime we could possibly travel there, especially with the modern technology. I have long contended that there is in fact life on all of the planets in the solar system, although it may not be a form of mass that actually takes a concrete form. Yet there is a consciousness. It is as if the planets reflect to us a consciousness that is our projection of our attempt to interpret the resonance we have with the frequencies that they emit and what they evoke in us as a representation of that energetic emission. So, the names of the planets, understanding them as some sort of deity and some sort of systematology. It's a particular vibration. It stimulates us, including in our ancestral memories, and our experiences with these ancestors end up being projected onto these planets, and they reflect back to us, these projections. I believe it has to do very specifically with the status of Pluto at this point in time. Did anybody read about the information that was revealed in December of 2017? A long time ago, Earth sent a space probe out into the solar system. At some point, around 2016, 2017, it started sending back pictures of Pluto. One of the things that was revealed, there was an article in a noted science magazine. One of the things that was revealed was that Pluto has moons. Pluto has at least 3 satellites that orbit around it, including one that's nearly half the size of Pluto. Now, can we imagine any other planet that has a moon that's half as big as the planet? Never before had this been conceived of. Never before had anybody given us any indication that what we were resonating with when it came to understanding Pluto was, among other things, that Pluto had a moon that was half its size. Well, it's so far away. It has 3 satellites orbiting around it, but it's so far away. All we see is one mass, and when that mass we project onto it our own understandings. Not only does it have a moon that is about half the size, nearly half the size of Pluto, but that moon is almost a very significant similarity to Pluto itself. Pluto was identified as having these caps, almost polar caps, and it was suspected, or rather, it was understood, it could be possible that there's actually water on Pluto that's been frozen in a sort of system, like a vein system that's got a different relationship with the surfaces, and the poles of Pluto are bright red. Pluto's a redhead. And Pluto has a moon that's about half her size that's also a redhead. I'm just saying that's one way to understand it. And then there's 2 other little moons. You know what this sounds like to me? I know, no. You know what it sounds like? It sounds like the American ideal of the nuclear family. There was this story, I love this story, about one of Ronald Reagan's national security advisors recounting his experience with Nancy Reagan. You know what he said? You know what one of Ronald Reagan's national security advisors discussed about the First Lady? He said that she told him about one of her dreams. She had this dream one night. She was asleep, and she woke up very disturbed. She had had a dream about a woman with very, very, very bright red hair who started causing a huge ruckus. It was very unnerving to Nancy Reagan. She had this dream shortly before she invited the Gorbachevs over for dinner. Did you know this? Now, at some point in time between when Nancy Reagan had her dream and when that satellite, with that space object that was created by men on Earth, men and women on Earth, got to Pluto and started broadcasting back these pictures, Pluto was determined to not be eligible any longer as a planet. Somebody made a determination to say that there are certain standards that qualify entities as a planet. And while Pluto might meet some of them, well, there's other standards Pluto doesn't meet. And so despite the fact we've considered Pluto a planet all of these years, now we've determined Pluto isn't a planet. Why is that? Well, see, now that this object got out to the edge of the edge of the solar system and broadcast back these pictures of Pluto, we now know that Pluto has its own moons. It may even have water. What was it that discluded Pluto from being considered a planet? Is it because that Pluto is actually a cold star? Is Pluto actually a small, cold star with 3 planets of its own orbiting it in a system where, well, does that mean the other planets aren't stars? It's just Pluto? Is the sun even a star anymore? This is what I'm saying. I believe the planets have consciousness and that they have, throughout time, communicated with greater or less clarity with certain individuals. Now, from here we get into and go back to this discussion about what it meant when both Netanyahu and Obama were reported as being in the Congo during a time when there was a significant portal that had opened over Africa. And I bring this up because I hopefully do more of these kinds of talks, but I want to talk about another portal that opened up. There was a portal that opened up for a very short period of time. No more than 24 hours, but if I'm correct, it was open for about 18 hours. It was opened up over Chicago, Illinois, on Election Day of 2008. Did you see it? Were you there? Did you see any of the ancestors? Did you talk to any of them? Did you meet any of them? Were you in Grant Park that evening, or were you somewhere else? It was real. It was an actual cosmic portal that had opened over Chicago, Illinois on Election Day. And if I'm not incorrect, there was also another portal that was opened over Washington, D.C. on the day of the inauguration. I wasn't there for that. Somebody else was. They gave me their report. If I'm correct, there are those who know that we are in the situation that is comparable to what happened over the Congo in 2015, or at least within the last 5 to 6 years. Yet there is anticipated that there is going to be another portal opening. Very significant one. We're talking about a very, very important engagement with cosmic consciousness that has an expectation that we will provide confirmation of certain things. And my understanding is that what was done with the last opportunity did not meet certain standards, and it will not be tolerated if the same mistakes are allowed to occur the next time. This is why it is going to be very honest, and it is going to be very important who is honest and in what manner.